We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. I hope all of you are well, and inshallah your fast is going well as too. Just a quick reminder that this is a live show and we do take in all your questions. If you have any question you'd like to ask in regards to the holy month of Ramadan or even outside this field, WhatsApp us your question, email us on ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv, or alternatively give us a call here 0203 515 0199. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to answer and discuss your questions. I'm your host Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Maash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you this evening?
Alhamdulillah, fine.
How's the fast going?
All going well, inshallah.
It's easy at the moment, isn't it? It's harder in the coming days.
Exactly.
Yeah, inshallah. Sheikhna, before we kick off with the questions, yesterday we were discussing from Imam Sajjad's Risat al-Huquq, the rights of the fast. And we touched a little bit upon, you were discussing the eyes, the tongue, the ears, and so forth. With your permission, please, can you continue with that short lecture you gave us?
إن شاء الله. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Imam Sajjad Salamullahi alayhi, and we continue with his blessed narration in Risat al-Huquq, this great book with different types of rights mentioned in this Risala. The Imam mentioned that the right of the fast, that Allah Azza wa Jal would set over the tongue, the ears, and the eyes, and other parts of the body, some kind of cover, some kind of veil, some kind of curtain, some kind of screen to protect us from the hellfire. Because this holy month of Ramadan is the best opportunity for the one to observe piety, to show, to prove to Allah Azza wa Jal that I'm ready. I'm ready to show that I can observe piety, I can show myself and to the others that I'm able to quit all that bad habits and evil acts and wrongdoings and sins. So the Imam mentions that the first veil or the screen or the cover that Allah Azza wa Jal would set up is over the tongue, lisan. حجاب ضربه الله على لسانك. That's حق الصوم, the rights of the fast. We spoke about the lisan, the tongue, the right of the tongue, and then now we come to وسمعك وبصرك, your hearing and your sightings. In the hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam. So now let's talk about the rights or the narration about the hearing. Imam Rida salamullah alayhi states, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْغِنَاء مِمَّا قَدْ وَعَدَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ النَّارِ. Allah Azza wa Jal has promised that He will punish those who listen to the songs, to the singers, singings. And that's haram in Islam. I don't see any, all the madhahib, even the non-Shia as well, would agree upon the fact that ghina or the songs is haram. So Imam alayhi salam is mentioning that the one who uses his ears to be as a means and method of the input of the songs and singings and haram, this individual would be caused and will be exposed to na'udhu billah, the punishment of Allah Azza wa Jal, the hellfire. وَعَدَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ النَّارِ. In other words, Allah has promised to punish this individual for listening to the songs. Of course, these ahkam is in Islam. I mean, we have to respect that each creed, doctrine, religion, country, government system, law, they have their own do and do's, allowed and not allowed, permissible and not permissible. We have to respect this. In Islam, this is part of the wajib acts in which we have to observe and respect, that we shouldn't listen to the songs and singings, because there's no benefit from listening to those songs. I mean, those who have access to the poetry, or you can see now, look, read them, what is said in those poetry or the songs. Most of them are ala kulli hal. I'm not an expert in this field, but it seems to be most of them are not really useful for the humanity. It doesn't give knowledge. It doesn't give the right method of entertainment. You can entertain yourself by going to the parks, to the gatherings, celebrating certain occasions, Eid and so forth. But listening to the songs and music and so forth wouldn't really give some kind of benefit to the human soul and to the body as well. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, he also has in his book of Risala, with regards to the hearing rights. What is the right of your ears, of your hearing? The Imam says, Salaamullah alayhi, وَحَقُّ السَّمْعِ, and the right of your hearing, تَنْزِيهُهُ عَنْ سِمَاعِ الْغِيبَةِ. Number one is to refrain it, to abstain your ears, your hearing, from listening to the backbiting, to the, how much of majalis are there in which people are being spoke against
in our community
in their back, as a backbiting, sadly. And the Imam says, وَسِمَاعُ مَا لَا يَحِلُّ سَمَاعُهُ. Again, to refrain your hearing from listening which is not as allowed or haram. In other words, the songs, as you just mentioned as an example, and other, means of haram to be heard. Let's say, if you're a young man and you want to listen to some lectures to benefit, make sure that you choose the right lecture. You don't listen to somebody who's a deviant, somebody who tries to deceive the believers from the right path. So you're not allowed to listen to them, because you might be deceived and you might be, pursuing or following the wrong path. So you're not allowed to listen to those lectures and so forth. And ala kulli hal, this is the rights of the hearing. The next one is as the Imam mentioned in the hadith, that hijabun ضربه الله على بصرك. So is a curtain, is a veil, is a screen that Allah has set up over your eyes. And how much of sins in which can be committed by the eyes, the khiyana, to be betraying others by looking at the opposite gender who are haram to look at in the streets, in the parks, and on social media, even in the movies, the films I mentioned yesterday about it as well. Indecent photos, indecent images can be committed by the looking and staring at the other side. There's a hadith in which Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam states with this regard. He says, النظر سهم من سهام إبليس مسموم. Looking at the opposite gender, the haram individual that I'm not allowed to look at, non-mahram, is like a poisonous arrow in which has been shot by the Iblis, by the Satan, by Shaitan, in which destroys one's soul by committing that haram by the method of eyes, by looking at that individual. And then the Imam says, وَكَمْ مِن نَظْرَةٍ أَوْرَثَتْ حَسْرَةً طَوِيلَةً. And how much of these looks and gazes resulted in prolonged regret. Because at the end of the day, you can't really get in touch with this woman. Let's say she's a celebrity or a famous actress, and you want to get to her, you can't get to her. She's a millionaire, she's somebody who is famous. So when you look at her body, at her ala kulli hal, in haram look, you'll have regret that you can't get this individual to be your partner, for example. So regret and hasra in dunya, and na'udhu billah, the grand regret is in the akhirah after death, na'udhu billah, in which the one will see his a'mal is, perished, nothing remains in his book of deeds of hasanat, because he exchanged with all sayyi'at and bad deeds. So this holy month, the best opportunity for the one to purify, again, self-purification, to purify himself by refraining and stopping and by looking at the, to stop this looking at the haram scenes, and to avoid other means of, using it. It's not just looking at the haram. Sometimes somebody looks at somebody else's, house or neighbor or room. You can't look. So, you're not allowed to look at people's privacy. You can't look through the curtain and so forth. There are other ahkam for looking. It's not just not to look at the opposite gender, haram, and so forth. And finally, the Imam Salamullah alayh Sajjad, he states with the rights of the eyes, of the sight. He says, وَحَقُّ الْبَصَرِ, the right of the sight, and تَغُضُّهُ عَمَّا لَا يَحِلُّ لَكَ, is to lower the gaze from in which the scenes which are haram to look. وَتَعْتَبِرْ بِالنَّظْرِ بِهِ. So the Imam gives another solution. Use your eyes to learn lessons. Look at the mountains, look at the sea, look at the ocean, look at the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, the animals, the creatures, the universe, and learn lesson. Look at the graveyard, that you will be one day joining this massive, of human beings being buried inside the ground. You will be one of them. So learn lesson. Use your eyes to learn lesson. And we have a narration that one of the most ibadah of Abu Dharr, rahimahullah, was tafakkur. He used to ponder and reflect and think, looking at things, looking at the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, and he would think and ponder that one day this house will be demolished. I will no longer be the owner of the house. I will be dead, and the house will be given to inheritors, for example, and so forth. So, again, let's take this opportunity, and it's in only the first days of the holy month of Ramadan, to, number one, purify ourselves from all the bad and evil acts and habits, and also to fill it with the good habits, the akhlaq, al-hasana, makarim al-akhlaq. I mean, as an advice and for the brothers and sisters to recite Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq by Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Again, high morals. Try to achieve as much as we can from this holy month, inshallah.
Fantastic, excellent. Just a quick reminder to all our viewers that this is a live show where we do take in all of your questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, it could be about fasting, the holy month of Ramadan, the amal. It could be about prayer. It could be about zakat and khums, whatever your question is. Send it in via the WhatsApp. The email address Ahkam SOS at imamhussein.tv, or alternatively give us a call in the studio 0203 515 0199. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer your question. Sheikh, my first question is that when it comes to suhoor time, and everyone's eating in the morning and so forth, and then around about imsak we start to stop eating and stuff, and we get like bits of food left over in between our teeth or right back in the corner of our mouth and so forth. If I have begun my fast, Fajr Adhan is gone, I've begun my fast, and I deliberately swallow any remnants or residue left of the food that I've eaten for suhoor, does that invalidate my fast?
Of course, his or her fast will be invalidated and becomes batil, because you're actually swallowing some kind of food, even if it's small bits, even a drop of water. If you swallow it, then it becomes causes the siyam to be rendered batil. So make sure that nothing remains in your mouth, or at least you can just just spit it out when you see there's a bit of, let's say, food and so forth, and just avoid swallowing such remnants.
Shaykh, a question from one of our viewers, and that is, can a fast be broken due to weakness? So if someone's feeling a bit weak and so forth, are they allowed to break their fast?
Well, the one who is fasting, he may not break his fast on the grounds of weakness. the one should observe patience. That's one of the lessons of the holy month of Ramadan, that we observe patience due to the situation of hunger and thirst. To remember the thirst and the hunger of the Day of Judgment, according to some narrations. One of the wisdoms, one of the reasons of fasting. Also to remember the poor and the hungry individuals, the homeless, who don't have food and enough, drink and food and so forth. No, they can't break unless it's a severe situation, severe weakness. In this situation, there's no objection for them to break their fast. However, Ayatollah Sistani would mention that they are allowed to, let's say, drink as much as they need. So half cup, full cup, and they have to stop refraining from eating and drinking until the iftar time, and then they have to make it up later afterwards. Yes.
I see. Yeah, I mean, we were discussing before as well the sanctity of during the daytime, not to eat and to break the sanctity. So I guess even if you have to break your fast, still don't be eating and drinking during daylight. I mean, just do enough to, keep you going, and inshallah make it back with the qadar prayer. Shaykhna, His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sa'id Hakim has a fatwa in regards to those who haven't been performing fasts over the previous years, in terms of seeking repentance and forgiveness. What does His Eminence say?
The Sayyid mentions that the act of fasting is a ibadah, is a worship in which Allah made obligatory and wajib on the individuals, the believers. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam. So it's been prescribed on you. It's wajib for the individuals to fast as they pray their daily obligatory prayers. It's part of the furu' ad-din. So the Sayyid mentions that it's a big sin if the one disobeys Allah Azza wa Jal and he commits a muftar and he eats in the holy month of Ramadan without any given reason, illness, travel, and so forth. But at the same time, the Sayyid gives hope, and he says that the one should have hope in Allah Azza wa Jal. If so, then you can repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. He mentions this ayah, in Surah 39, verse 53. Say, O my slaves, O my servants, who have wronged their own selves, despair not of the mercy of Allah, who forgives all sins. So the ayah is clear that even if you've committed muftarat in the past years, you still have time, repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. But of course you have to try to fast qada of those years that you broke intentionally, deliberately. You do the qada, make it up later. And at the same time, if there's a kafara, you have to pay kafara. If there's a fidya, you have to pay a fidya, in which you can find them in the books of the fiqh and the jurisprudence.
I see. Excellent. Shaykh, a question from one of our viewers, and that is, can one smoke while fasting?
As an obligatory precaution, wajib ihtiyati, the one should not use or smoke at all tobacco, shisha, cigarettes, and so forth, because this is one of the muftarat that breaks the fast. As a precaution, wajib precaution, so one should avoid it, of course, definitely.
Shaykh, when it comes to salah, when we're praying, there is a rule that if someone is to say Salaam alaikum to you while you are praying, you should pause and give the jawab, you should reply wa alaikum salam. But in this question, if someone doesn't give the reply, is the salah still valid? Is the salah still sahih, or does it become batil?
You see, initiating and starting the salam is mustahab, is encouraged to say salam. It's not wajib. You walk in the street, you come inside a place, it's not wajib to say salam alaikum. But it's encouraged to say, salam alaikum. The one who says, starts the salam, he gets 69 reward. And the one who replies back, he gets 1 reward, imagine. So, saying the salam to start it is mustahab, but if you hear it, you have to reply. It's wajib to reply back. So replying, it becomes wajib. Even in salah, imagine. The one must reply to the salam in the salah. It's wajib, but if you don't, then the one is committed sin, disobedience, but the salah is valid. There's no issue with the salah, it's valid. It's not part of the mubtilat, of the salah, if you don't reply to the salam inside the salah. But it's some kind of disobedience that one should avoid. So you can just, it's not an issue. I mean, some people might think that replying to the salam in salah would void the salah. No, you're allowed and you have to. It's wajib. So you just stop the salah where you've been reciting and just say Salamun Alaikum and continue the salah. That's it. It's just to avoid committing the sin of not replying to the salam.
I see. So a lot of importance given to, replying to salam. Shaykhna, again, in salah, sometimes, we're praying and, there's a lot going on. Sometimes the phone's ringing or the doorbell's going off, or maybe there's some cooking going on in the kitchen and you can smell something burning. And you try and grab people's attention to inform them that, look, something needs to be seen to. Maybe you might raise your voice a little bit in your recitation or something, or wave your hand or something like that, pointing at something. Does this invalidate the salah?
You see, doing something that changes the posture and the state of salah. Let's say somebody screaming in salah loudly, let's say clapping too much in salah, for example, or jumping, for example. Anything that destroys the state of salah, then the salah becomes batil and invalid. But if you just point to to the door that somebody is knocking the door, just pointing, you're allowed in this limit. That doesn't change the posture of the salah. But other than that, if it goes to extreme, then the salah becomes batil.
I see. Shaykh, I think a question from one of our WhatsApp, and that is, I'm a full-time student and I work part-time and I have a little bit of savings set aside. After I graduate, I also have to pay off my student loans. My question would be, am I required to pay khums?
You see, khums must be paid on anything that is surplus and excess on your annual income. So let's say you set a date, let's say first of the month of Ramadan of every year. When it comes the first day of the month of Ramadan, and you see that in your pocket there's a bit of cash, in your account there's money, in somehow you have money here and there, and you haven't paid khums on them from last year, so there are extra money left by the end of the year of the khums.
Yes.
In this case, you have to pay khums on those remaining and excess and surplus and extra money left over. You didn't spend them. If you spend them, that's fine. You buy a car, you go for a holiday, spend them, that's fine. But anything is left over by the day of the khums, of the coming, then you have to pay khums on them. Be it if you're a student, an employee, a business manager, whoever you are, you must pay the khums of anything that is left over, surplus. And then, of course, by paying the khums, there is barakah, there's a blessing, there is a rizq, sustenance, the growth of rizq and sustenance in the life of the individual, and protection as well, inshallah, from all the evil situations, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Shaykh. Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. Inshallah, we'll be back tomorrow again at 6 o'clock here on Imam Hussein TV 3. Join us then. If you have a question you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp, the email address, or give us a call tomorrow night, inshallah. See you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.